Hey, what's up, everybody? So I've been having all kinds of issues all of a sudden with the 280ZX. So I'll show you a couple of things that were problems that I identified with some of the connections here. Okay, so one of the first things I found out was the TPS sensor here that's attached on the side of the throttle body. The cables here were pretty much falling apart. They basically weren't making contact. So what I did is I soldered on some more wires here and created these plugs so that I can plug this in. I've got these labeled so I don't get things mixed up. Now, the problem was I was having an issue with the TPS sensor. So what I did was I hooked up a multimeter. So I went ahead and took off this cap. And basically the problem that I'm having is that with the screw holes here and the adjustments here, even with this fully adjusted, it's not giving me continuity. So I'm able to adjust it about right there. And I can't adjust it any further because, you know, again, this thing's probably a little bit worn out on the inside. So if I leave just one screw in, it gives me enough to be able to, you know, get to that state. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so let me get this back in place. Let's connect our continuity tester again. Okay. Okay, throttle is off. Okay, now again, we'll go ahead and turn on our multimeter. Okay, so see, we have continuity, so I'm just going to simulate like I've adjusted the screws on either side. So based on where the screw holes are, that's about as far as actually about right there, as far as I can go. On this side, I'm good. If I used one screw, I can definitely position it to get me at that part. But the problem is the other screw is not going to allow me to tweak this. So this is definitely worn out. So just to see if things improve, I'm going to just put one screw in, adjust it where I'm getting continuity. And then as I hit the throttle, that should disengage these two. And so I'm going to see if idle improves at all. So one other issue you could be having is with your auxiliary air regulator. Let me show you where that's located and kind of what it does. And I'll show you a couple of things that I did to get mine better adjusted. So this is the auxiliary air regulator. And so it sits right here. Mine has an electrical input and also coolant input as well. And so basically what the auxiliary air regulator is allowing is when the car initially starts up, this should be fully opened, allowing extra air to come in. And right here, you'll have additional air coming in, bypassing the throttle body. What was happening is mine wasn't opening all the way. It was pretty much shut close. So with it completely shut close, right when you start the car up, you're going to have some idle issues. So what should happen is this should be opened when the car first starts up. And then as the engine warms up, this will then close. Then we'll cut off the air coming from the intake. So let me show you how to open this up and see if yours is working correctly. All right, so you got to take these screws out here. Go ahead and take this one out. I already went ahead and took all the other screws out. Mine was pretty much all the way closed. So it actually should be at the open position. And then as the car warms up, there's this plate that should then slowly move it. There was a little cap here that I removed so you can see kind of what's going on. So as you can see, I've made some adjustments where, you know, now it pretty much stays open. So there's actually two different adjustments you can make. So the first adjustment is there's a screw right here. So you can loosen the screw. Once you get that out of the way, you can slightly adjust the body of this. Now that will make a very slight adjustment. So what I had to do to get to the open position is I actually used pliers and very very carefully, I bent this slightly towards this way. So now that that's bent, you can see I'm at an open position. So if this doesn't get you to an open position, you may have to play around with this or just buy a whole new unit. A new unit should be properly calibrated. We'll put it back on the car, and this should also help our idle as well. All right, so let's start this bad boy up and see what happens. It's almost like I got a vacuum leak somewhere else. Now, something else you can do is try to spray a little bit of brake fluid around the intake and see if it revs up. I do have the air cleaner off of it, or the air filter, but as you can see how it idles up when I spray this? So if there's a vacuum leak somewhere else. Interesting. So one thing I did recently take off was this pipe going from the turbocharger into the car. All right, so I took this off and it looks like there's a pretty big crack right in there. So it looks like as we were spraying around in that area, it started running a bit better because there's a pretty big crack in there. This just needs to get completely replaced. Let's toss that. All right, so we finally got the piece that we need. So it's this here. So I bought this from Amazon. All right, so this is gonna be the connection that we need between the turbo and the inlet pipe that goes to the intake manifold. So hopefully this fits, and we'll give it a shot and see how everything runs. So let's see how it starts up. Okay, it seems a little better. Possibly better than what it sounded like before. Let's take a look at it. Let's give her a little bit of revving and see what happens. Yeah.